So I gave a talk last night on a college campus up in Albany about generational divides in leadership based on my new book, When We're in Charge, which is about how millennials and Gen Z in business and politics and elsewhere are doing things very differently than the boomers that came before us. And it was on a college campus, so most of the people in the crowd were students, but there were a couple community members there too, including this older boomer who came up to me after and said something that broke my heart. I talked about how, especially millennials and Gen Z, based on our relationship to the economy and to these institutions that have failed us, for millennials graduating into an economic recession, Gen Z into COVID and aftermath and Trump and all of that, we know work cannot love us back. We cannot invest all of our identity, our self-worth, our value in our jobs. Our careers are not stable enough for that. And if we do, they will crumble. And I talk at length about the challenges that presents for business leaders and for community leaders, because you want work to be really important. And often the people who've climbed to the top have gotten there because they're willing to work hard. They're willing to do everything. And we realize that actually isn't sustainable. And it's not fair to ask work to hold all of our meaning because it's not meant for that. It's meant to be an economic relationship. So this boomer comes up to me after the talk when people are asking questions, getting their book signs, and he says, you said work won't love you back. And that hit me right in the gut, he says to me, because I'm at the end of my career. And man, it didn't love me. And I think about how I would have done it differently if I had known that was a one-sided relationship. And I said to him, I am so sorry that resonated. I wish that weren't the case. But I do think that's something that a lot of the boomers today are struggling with as they see these younger leaders coming up and trying to do it differently, is that we refuse to struggle the way that they did. And that can be really hard because you think, well, I did it. I persevered. I got to this point having to do it the hard way. Why should they get to do it the easy way? But just because it was miserable for you doesn't mean it needs to be miserable for me. That you suffered doesn't mean the next generation has to. We should want to break the cycle.